When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can share the thrill with friends using our exclusive Bet Share feature.
Welcome back to the TwinSpires jury. I'm Ashley Anderson here with James Scully and Darin Zoccali to talk our best bets and fades of the week at Saratoga. We've got Del Mar, both have very big cards this weekend, plus we'll look at Colonial Downs and some Woodbine later in the show as well. We have a lot to cover, so let's just jump right in. And James, I'll start with you today. Tell me what your best bet of the week is and where you're going to play that.
My best bet is going to be number 6, Close the Game Sugar, and we put Darin's graphic up first, but it's number 6, Close the Game Sugar in the Grade 1 Bing Crosby at Del Mar on Saturday. That's race number 10. This is going to be Close the Game Sugar's Grade 1 debut, his graded stakes debut on dirt. This is a 4-year-old gelding that made his first 5 starts on turf and synthetic. He switched to the main track on Derby week. He ran a good second in a salty allowance to Anchor. And then off of that race, he beat Scully, I thought, in good fashion in the Aristides. He came back last time, Closed the Game Sugar, in the June 29th Kelly's Landing. And I thought this was a even more forward performance. He took a step forward off that win in the Aristides, made his move more, triumphantly to the lead and upper stretch, and just won pretty easy that day, whereas in this previous race, he had to wear down Scully and deep stretch. Now, obviously, competition's going to get tougher in the San Diego at Del Mar. In the Bing Crosby at Del Mar. But I think Close the Game Sugar is improving as well. And he's earned back-to-back triple-digit Brisnet speed ratings. I look at these California sprinters, the Chosen Vron. He's obviously the defending champ. He's won 5 races in a row, but he's been beating up on Cowbreds. I think the best horse he's beaten in his recent starts is Happy Jack. So I think he's stepping up to face better in here. And the other thing with Close the Game Sugar is he ran in early May, early June, and then late June. So it has been a little bit of a demanding schedule. But I think when these sprinters get good, they've got to run them. There's no point in saving them. They might not get back into the same form. And I like seeing Adam Rice ship Close the Game Sugar out there because the Breeders' Cup will be at Del Mar this fall, Darin.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that he went there instead of the Vanderbilt at Saratoga. Obviously, a much shorter ship, like you mentioned. Get him out to California maybe early. Get him a race over the track that the Breeders' Cup is at, and plus the Bing Crosby is a win and you're in, so there is that incentive as well if you can win. The interesting horse for me in that race is actually Anarchist. I'm looking to see what he does. Second race back off the layoff. Thought he had really no chance off the bench last time, breaking from post 1 in the Kelly's Landing. I expect him to improve substantially. He does have the rail again, which is a bit to his detriment, I think. But he's a really talented horse that narrowly lost to Elite Power when he was at the zenith of his career, or the apex of his career. So I think you might get a square number on Anarchist here, who might slip below the radar. But we'll see if he can fight back.
You're definitely going to get a good price because Straight No Chaser is my racehorse. He's going to get bet, I think, a little bit. And Jackstown, that's a Bob Baffert trainee, coming back in his second start. He's 2 for 2. So the Chosen Vron will be favored. And it's going to be an interesting betting board for sure. A lot of options in there. I think it's a very bold move, and I'm going to back it.
There you go. I'm going to head to Colonial Downs, a race that really caught my attention. Race number 7. It's a not one is a 3 other than allowance, optional claimer, 5.5 furlongs over the turf course. I've actually been looking for Ambivalent to run back since his last race. I was impressed with it off about 8 weeks since the effort at Keeneland, where he was left with too much to do and really couldn't have been running any faster through the stretch. And I thought he really rallied boldly last time out at Churchill Downs. And I really think moving to Colonial with these kind of big wide turns, you're going to get a look at him here coming down the center of the track where he's going to finish with a flourish and just kind of run out of ground. But moving to Colonial, where you're getting this much more expansive turf course with the wide sweeping turns, I think is really going to play nicely to his running style. He's going to have a longer stretch to potentially accelerate his late kick in here. And I do think there is a little bit of speed signed on with the presence, especially of Johnny Z from Albany. Mason from the inside is cutting back, but he's always been a quick type as well. Remuda wants to be forward. So I'm hoping Ambivalent can work out a good trip, stalking the pace here, stay a little bit closer. Coming in off a bullet workout in 46-4, best of 152, says that this horse is firing on all cylinders right now. And I think the price is going to be right at that 9-2 morning line. So we'll try Ambivalent in race number 7 at Colonial on Saturday, Ashley.
I like it. We're all picking sprint races for our best bets, and I'm going to take mine over to Saratoga for the Alfred G. Vanderbilt. I'm going number 4, Baby Yoda, at 7-2. This is race 6 at Saratoga on Saturday, and this is a 6-year-old gelding who really struggled last season, was 0 for 6, but he's come back into form this season. He's won his last 2, including the Grade 2 True North at Saratoga on June 8th. He posted a 103 brisnet speed figure and won by 6 lengths over 6 rivals in that start. And he went gate to wire 2 back, racing at 7 furlongs and an allowance optional claimer at Belmont at the Big A. And I actually was almost going to use Scully here as my fade of the week because I feel like there's a vulnerable 6-5 morning line favorite in this field. Scully has 10 career wins, but 8 of them have come at Oaklawn. When he races elsewhere, he tends to settle for second place. So I'm going to try to beat him with Baby Yoda, who I feel like is a hot horse at the moment. Bill Mott is a 26% winner with horses that won their last race. And Eric Cancel is 2 for 2 since picking up the mount. So a lot of reasons to like Baby Yoda. I thought Subrogate was dangerous as well, but I'm going to go with the recent Grade 2 winner here.
Yeah, I was kind of taken aback by the morning line. The morning line on Nakatomi on the inside is actually 5-2, according to the past performances I'm looking at. But I thought David Aragona, who is probably one of the top 2 odds makers in the country, got really aggressive with this line on Skelly. I understand he's 10 for 16 and he wins a ton of races, but like you said, he's been a horse for the course at Oaklawn. And I don't think he's ever really beaten a horse the caliber of Baby Yoda or Subrogate yet. And I think both of those horses are going to be a bit of a wise guy play coming off of monstrous efforts. Baby Yoda's at the top of his top of his peak performance right now off that win in the True North, where he couldn't have looked any better. And he's absolutely loves Saratoga. And Subrogate is certainly the new kid on the block that off his last one, everybody was asking if he was going to run on the Vanderbilt because of how eye-catching that performance was. So I thought the 6-5 on Skelly was really, really short. And I think Baby Yoda and Subrogate are going to both take a little bit of play in here.
I'm a big fan of Subrogate. I've talked about him repeatedly on past episodes of the Jury and Roundtable, and I'm excited to see him step up. I think his last allowance performance was terrific. Baby Yoda, though, I do appreciate when these 6-year-old, these old veterans get back into form, arguably his best career form right now. I thought that True North was just really, really an impressive effort. Baby Yoda debuted for Charles Frock in May of 2021 in a maiden $10,000 maiden claimer at Pimlico. He was at 6-1 in a 7-horse field. He won by 8 lengths. 2 starts later, Bill Mott had him. He won an entry-level allowance in September that year over Olympiad. And in his stakes debut, he was 3-2 in the Vosburg that fall. So he's had some ups and downs ever since then. You know, he's been in form at times and not at times. But he has gotten really good right now for Bill Mott. So this should be a fascinating race.
Now, as you mentioned, Darin, horse for the course, he's got 4 wins from 6 starts at Saratoga. So I certainly like that he's racing here at that track. But let's move over to our horses that we're fading at a short price. So I'll stick with you, Darin. Who are you fading this week?
I'm going to fade Sierra Leone in the Jim Dandy. I know everyone is going to tell me I'm crazy, but until this horse shows me that he's not going to duck, dive, weave, lug in, bear out, and do whatever else he does in the stretch when facing high caliber competition, and Fierceness and Seize the Gray are just that. I'm going to look for him to do what he always does, which is come from extremely far back, be left with too much to do, and narrowly lose a gut-wrenching race that he probably should have won. Look, am I betting a lot of money into this race in terms of the vertical exotics? No. But in this race, if I can fade a horse like Sierra Leone, and get some coverage elsewhere in the pick fours and pick fives and knock an even money favorite on the morning line out of it, it's a good fade. And that's my approach here. Was he the best horse in the Derby? I think it's arguable between either him or Forever Young, where they played bumper cars through the stretch because Sierra Leone likes to lug in. Was he the best horse in the Belmont? Maybe, but again, it took him a long time to get on track. When he finally did, he started to kind of duck in and duck out again and did the same thing in the stretch. And, when you do that against the top flight horses in your age group, you're just not going to win a lot of races, unfortunately. And I think that's kind of where we're at with Sierra Leone. Can he win? Sure. But he's got to show me that he can run straight as a string in the stretch and run horses down before I endorse him. So we're fading Sierra Leone out of the pick fours and pick fives coming into the Jim Dandy on Saturday, guys.
This is a tough race. Sorry, go ahead, James.
I was just going to say, we just watched that replay of the Belmont Stakes, and we that was a right there on full display. The 2 3-year-olds, prominent 3-year-olds in the country that can't do anything but run diagonally in the stretch with mind frame going in and out, and Sierra Leone going in and out. I'll say this. I do think it would be a surprise if Sierra Leone runs straight through the stretch, but there's so much speed in the Jim Dandy field that he might be able to veer in and out and still win. He's going to get a good setup, but I'm not going to knock your play at all because I do like fading, keying on these short price horses sometimes in second and third. That's the kind of horse he's been in recent starts. So I can't fault you for taking him on again on Saturday.
Yeah, I was going to say all that speed. It's just, it seems like it would set up for Sierra Leone, but at the same time, I don't even feel very good. I thought I'd feel good about Fierceness here, but with all that speed, Batten Down's looking really good. I don't know about Seize the Gray, but I just can't figure out. I don't have a good feeling who's going to win this race.
I just have a good
like Darin said, that's not going to be a race I'm betting a lot of money on. I'd have it in some multi-race bets only, that type of deal. But my play against this weekend is going to be number 2, Rabaya in the 11th race at Saratoga on Saturday. Now, Rabaya, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing this name a little bit, but Rabaya was a horse that dropped his first 2 starts last November and in April against maiden special weight rivals on the turf. And on June 14th, he sped forward at the start, set the pace that day, got clear in 24 and change and 48 and change, and had enough left to win by 3 lengths this day or by 5 lengths this day. Hey, very, very smart performance. A nice maiden win last time. The 8-5 favorite in there, My Life Story, really came up with a dull effort, ran 7th that day. I'm not sure. I got some questions about the quality of that field, and I'm going to make him prove it to me in the 11th race. It's an entry-level allowance for New York breds going a mile and a 16th on the turf. I think there's plenty of competition in there. I'm really keen on number 1, Clear Conscious. That was part of my rationale for taking on the favorite in here. And I'm going to play against Rabaya in all my bets on Saturday. Ashley and Darin.
I like it. And I'll take it to race 9 at Saratoga, and I'm going to fade number 12, Risk Tolerance, at 3-1. This is a 1 1/16 mile allowance optional claimer on the inner turf, and it drew a field of 12, so Risk Tolerance is breaking from the far outside. He's a Kingman colt that won on debut by 3/4 of a length over a field of 11, but I'm looking at his speed figure. He got a 78. I don't feel like he showed me enough to warrant him being the morning line favorite in this field. There are a lot of runners here that have better brisnet speed figures, have faced tougher, and I'm looking at a few. I even like the other Chad Brown runner. Risk Tolerance is trained by Chad Brown and has Manny Franco aboard, but I like number 2, Main Beach, in this field. Irad Ortiz Jr. is picking up the mount here, in Main Beach won by 1.5 lengths last out in his second turf start, almost won his turf debut, was just beaten by a neck. And then I see a couple others in this field as well. Number 8, West Hollywood at 4-1 for Brad Cox. Number 4, Time Song at 10-1 is back in the barn of George Weaver. And number 9, Mogo at 15-1 is a long shot, a late runner who I think might be able to pull off a pretty big upset here. So just looking at brisnet speed figures, type of competition, I'm going to fade Risk Tolerance in his second career start.
Yeah,
Even Navy SEALs a little bit sneaky in there in my mind, Darin and Ashley, because I'm willing to draw a line through that race at Canterbury that came off the turf. He has some sneaky European form in there, and that's a pretty good. He gets Lasix too. That's a pretty good allowance, and yeah, I'm willing to take risk tolerance on from an outside post. He doesn't have that much of an advantage over these foes, and that's going to be a tough draw to overcome.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed is that we've given out 3 consecutive fades, which are the first 3 races of the late pick 4 on Saturday, which makes it very interesting because we're saying we don't like the first 3 favorites in that sequence. And it's also the middle 3 races of the late pick 5. So certainly going to be a sequence that I pay close attention to. There's a sneaky horse in this race too that, I mean, I'll give you guys a little sneak preview of what my long shot play on Saturday and the expert picks is going to be. Number 5, Moonlight. Moonlight last time out ran in the American Derby, which obviously he was overmatched. 2 starts back, he ran second. The last time he was on Lasix and a good entry level allowance at Keeneland. And his only other turf try, he was beaten a neck debuting as a 2-year-old up at Saratoga. What exactly are we holding against this horse that he's 15-1 in an entry level allowance race, that he was second at 3-1 at Keeneland 2 back? His other races, they try to put the horse in the Triple Crown Trail. He didn't exactly run bad in the street sense. He was 6-1 against Dornoch in the Remsen and ran okay, and then was overmatched in the Risen Star. I don't see what about this horse going back to the turf makes him 15-1. I think he's extremely sneaky in this race, and I'll honestly take half that price if I get it.
I think he also going to get a little bit of a better trip. I mean, he was way far back. That was a really good field last time. If he can be a little bit more prominent or a little bit more tactical, yeah, that would help him.
Well, Darin, let's talk about some promos and an exciting new feature at TwinSpires.
Yeah, we are ecstatic that we can announce that TwinSpires Tournaments is live. And what does that mean? It means that we now have buy-in cash tournaments, NHC qualifiers, BCBC qualifiers, and a whole lot more coming to TwinSpires, with the first one taking place on a Wednesday, July the 31st, with a $100 contest at Presque Isle Downs. $75 goes to your bankroll, $25 goes to your prize pool. Of course, you keep all of your winnings from your bankroll, and you climb up the leaderboard with your performance as you cash tickets as well. The first contest is up. The NHC qualifier is coming up on Saturday, August the 3rd at Ellis Park. We are guaranteeing 2 seats in that contest, regardless of how many people participate. And there's also cash prizes to that as well. Hotel is covered if you make the tournament at the NHC in Vegas as a part of it as well. So those are going to be the first couple of tournaments. We're going to add more cash tournaments, more qualifiers in the days and weeks after that. And this is just going to get bigger and better as time goes on. But we are just extremely excited. We've been working on this for the better part of a year, and to have it up and ready to go and rolling out to the TwinSpires players, we're just elated to announce that TwinSpires tournaments are here. On top of that, we've got the summer selected money back as well. Again, this weekend, selected races, some of the marquee tracks. So be sure to go to the offers page, click on the summer selected money back, opt in, and see which races we have selected for you this week. And we also have the 15% Breeders' Cup Challenge profit boost. This covers the race card that offers the race with the Breeders' Cup win and you're in. This Saturday, that's Del Mar. All of the races at Del Mar, 15% boost on your winnings. So be sure to be opted in and play the great Del Mar card, especially that Pat O'Brien and San Diego handicap. But great card covered by the 15% boost. And we got one more for you because we never have enough at TwinSpires. We got a $2,500 Sunday leaderboard contest at Ellis Park. So be sure to take part in that. Climb the leaderboard when your horse runs first, second, and third. You make a $10 win bet. You earn points as they hit the top 3. And hopefully you move up the standings throughout the day and make some cashing and get a nice chunk of that $2,500. I think we've got 13 or 14 promos on the page right now. Plus, we've got tournaments starting. It's a great time to be a TwinSpires player, guys.
Very exciting time. And James, I'll turn it back to you. What are you looking forward to this weekend?
Well, we've mentioned a bunch of horses, premier horses that are running this weekend, but I'm going to highlight 2 others to keep an eye on. In the Grade 2 San Diego handicap, that marks the return of last year's Pacific Classic winner, Arabian Night. This will be his first start since finishing 4th in the Breeders' Cup Classic to White Barrio. And it's a really big race for him. If he comes back running and looks good, he puts himself immediately, I think, into the Breeders' Cup Classic picture. It's not a really deep group of older horses right now. You get past National Treasure, Senor Buscador, Kingsbarn, Tapit Trice. There's not a lot of older horses right now that are considered top contenders for the Breeders' Cup Classic. So Arabian Night has a chance to get into that mix with the strong showing on Saturday. And then at Saratoga, race number 4 is an entry-level allowance on Saturday, and that marks the return of number 5, Speakeasy. He's even money on the morning line. Speakeasy debuted on January 27th. Won that day in front-running fashion by about 2 lengths, got a 103 Bristnet speed rating. It was a really big performance, a little bit similar to Mindframe in terms of generating buzz in his debut. Mindframe didn't come along till late March. Speakeasy was expected to jump right on the Kentucky Derby trail, but something went amiss with him. He needed time off, so he's coming back. Todd Pletcher has him. He's son of Constitution. He could be pointing for a race like the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby next month or in September if he runs well tomorrow or Saturday. So, I mentioned Arabian Night and Speakeasy running at Del Mar and Saratoga this weekend, Ashley or Darin.
Yeah, Speakeasy's a horse I've been looking for to come back, and the horse that he beat there, Victory Avenue, as well, who scratched out of the...
That and Down was 4th in that race, Darin.
Yeah.
That was a pretty tough maiden race.
Pretty key race that day, yeah. If I remember correctly, I think Victory Avenue scratched out of the Fountain of Youth. I think he was one of those scratches. So I'm excited to see him come back and see what he can do. There's a good race on Sunday at Saratoga. The Bowling Green, Grade 2. I thought it came up pretty tough, guys. Silver Knot, who is probably one of the better definitely one of the better marathon turf horses in the country, off a big win in the Man of War. He's going to hook up with Ohana Honor again, who came out of that race to run a very respectable 3rd in the Grade 1 Manhattan Stakes on the Belmont Stakes undercard. Those two going at it, and Soldier Rising, a horse that has been 2nd in each of his last 3, a couple of those being Grade 1s, and a Grade 2 in the Red Smith, is making his first start of the year as he tries to get himself on the path of the Breeders' Cup Turf. And then you got a horse in there who could get a little bit dangerous with lone speed potentially, with strong quality, who sometimes when he makes the front, he forgets to stop. So interesting race in the Bowling Green. It's going to set things up for the fall through the path of New York to see which of these horses become Breeders' Cup Turf contenders. Silver Knot, obviously, based on his most recent performances, the one to knock off, but a pretty intriguing addition of the Bowling Green, Ashley.
Yeah, it's a good race. Not quite sure who I think will win it, but I have been a fan of Silver Knot since seeing him win at Keeneland, so I'll be probably backing him there. But I'll take it over to Woodbine. Been talking a lot of Woodbine recently, and there are 2 graded stakes on Saturday, including the Ontario Colleen Stakes and the Seagram Cup, which I am particularly are going to keep an eye on because Money Supply is a horse I've been following for a while. He was at Fairgrounds earlier in the season, and he's been racing on all types of surfaces. He just won his turf debut last out at Horseshoe Indy. He's trying all weather for the first time here in the Seagram Cup. So I'm very intrigued to see if he can win on another surface. He has 8 wins from 19 lifetime starts, and 4 of those came on a fast track, 3 of them on an off track, now 1 on the turf. So going to be exciting to see what he does here in his Woodbine debut. But he also is going up against Paramount Prince, the 2-1 morning line favorite, who won the plate trial and the King's Plate last year. Now we're racing at a mile and a 16th, and he's only tried that one time, but he was beaten by just half a length 2 back in a Grade 2. So he'll be tough here, but Money Supply has a great closing kick. He had a triple-digit late pace figure last out, so maybe we'll see him close late, but I think Paramount Prince probably can go gate to wire here. We'll see.
Paramount Prince, Mark Cassie's stable, and really been a hot barn. And, Darin mentioned that strong quality. I'll be taking a look at that horse, too. That he caught my eye, another Mark Cassie trainee.
All right, well, that's all the time we have today for the TwinSpires jury. Check out those promos, our tournaments as well, and we'll be back next Thursday with more best bets and fades.